Hello everyone, my name is Michael, and welcome to Orthodox Classicist. If you want to study logic the way that Christians, philosophers, and scholars did for centuries, you should not start by reading Aristotle. The first book you should read is Porphyry's Isagoge, otherwise known as the Introduction. Today, I want to explain why. As I've mentioned in my introduction video, one of the first major projects for this channel is to work through the primary sources of the seven liberal arts, beginning with the art of classical reasoning. Throughout the series, we'll read and discuss foundational texts that have shaped classical education, starting with Porphyry before moving to Aristotle. Now, if anyone is familiar with the seven liberal arts and classical reasoning and what it constitutes the study of, you may be wondering, why begin with Porphyry? Why not read Aristotle and his work on reasoning? Doesn't he systematize the art of reasoning? And although this is true, Aristotle does systematize the art of reasoning. I shall explain why you should study Porphyry before jumping into studying Aristotle. Aristotle's work, the Organon, is the traditional collection of his logical treatises. It consists of 6 works: Categories, On Interpretation, Prior Analytics, Posterior Analytics, Topics, and Sophistical Refutations. Together, these works provide a systematic treatment of reasoning. Aristotle examines topics such as universals, logical classification, propositions, syllogisms, demonstration, and fallacies, giving us one of the greatest logical systems ever developed. In demonstrating the connection between Porphyry and Aristotle, I want to focus on the first work of the Organon, the Categories. In the Categories, Aristotle explains the fundamental ways in which we may predicate or say something about a subject. The Greek title kategoria refers to things that are predicated of something. As Aristotle develops his discussion, however, he often assumes his readers already have an understanding of a technical vocabulary. He uses terms like genus, species, difference, property, and accident without stopping to explain them in detail. Because of this, many readers find the categories difficult to understand. It becomes easy to import modern meanings into Aristotle's language and misunderstand how his concepts relate to one another. Without this proper foundation, we may read his words while missing the ideas he's intending to convey. Here's where Porphyry becomes helpful to us. The Isagoge is written to serve as a summary of what will be discussed in Aristotle's logical works. At the very beginning of his book, he writes, "Since it is necessary both to the doctrine of the categories of Aristotle and to the formation of definitions, and in short to those things which pertain to division and demonstration, to know what is genus and difference, species, peculiarity, and accident are." These 5 predicables, what will be used by Aristotle to explain his 10 highest kinds of predicates, also known as his 10 categories. Aristotle assumes throughout the categories that his students would know this vocabulary. He makes constant use of these concepts, but he does not pause to define each one or explain the relationships in a systematic way. He expects his readers to become familiar with them through careful study. Porphyry becomes helpful to us in that he bridges the gaps of knowledge to their simple level so that we can obtain the knowledge of the 5 predicables and interpret Aristotle rightly. For this reason, our study of classical reasoning will begin where the classical tradition itself begins, with Porphyry's Isagoge. I'll explain the text line by line, offer commentary on difficult passages, highlight key points of memorization, and provide additional resources to help you understand the material. My goal is not to summarize Porphyry, but to help us think alongside him and prepare ourselves to read Aristotle with greater confidence and clarity. Lastly, for the Christian, the study of logic is not about winning arguments, but is disciplining our minds to recognize truth, to avoid deception, and reason well. God has given man his rational faculties, and man's responsibility is to pursue truth. As for the art of reasoning itself, it trains us to think carefully, make distinctions accurately, make definitions precisely, and guard ourselves against sophistical argumentation and fallacious reasoning. In the next video, we will begin our study of Porphyry's Isagoge, Chapter 1. We will introduce the 5 predicables in greater detail and examine several foundational concepts that Porphyry assumes throughout his work, including definitions, descriptions, divisions, and demonstration. All of these will be important in our study for classical reasoning. I hope you will join me on this journey as we recover the classical tradition together. I encourage you to read Porphyry's Isagoge alongside other works of philosophy and the church, including Plato's Phaedo, as you can see right here, and one of a saint, St. Augustine's Confessions. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.